All right. Welcome to the show, Contractor Talk with Richie Kidwell, building damage experts every Saturday on iHeartRadio, 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. and live right here on Facebook. If you're watching us Tuesday night, every night around 5:45, 6 p.m.-ish is when we go live on Facebook. For real. And then at the end of all this post-production-wise, our producer Joe cans it up and puts it on our YouTube page. So check us out. Follow us on our YouTube page if you want to see the video here. Of course, the audio is then streamed everywhere. You can go pick it up on Spotify, iTunes, your favorite streaming platform. You'll be able to find us, Contractor Talk with Richie Kidwell, every episode on audio. But for the past several months here, if you're really curious and you want to check us out here and see what we got going on in our studio, check it out here. You'll see you get to see our studio. You'll get to see Hans and his dapper suit of the week. Now we can definitely say this week it's casual Tuesday.
It is casual Tuesday.
Casual week for Hans Kennon here with Morgan & Morgan. Every week he's going to show up, and he has shown up with a different suit. You will not find him with the same suit. Now, because he doesn't have a suit on today, you won't find him again with a no suit and a dress down casual look. So,
but it was an important day. A few months or a month ago, we had Mike from Liberty Inspections on the show, and turns out I needed a 4-point inspection and a wind mitigation inspection in order to get new insurance, because Farmers is leaving the state and they're leaving me high and dry without coverage. So this afternoon I was going around with someone who we met on the show.
Nice.
So it actually worked out well. So Mike came over with one of his guys, and we spent a couple hours moving stuff around and getting ready to try to find new insurance coverage.
There you go. And you did that for the reason of now you're shopping. And we were recommending every 2 years, maybe every year now, to shop for new insurance to really get your premium as low as you can and the best coverage you can for the dollar.
And one thing we mentioned today we have Alberto from GoPro Inspections. I want to talk a little bit about when you need to get a 4-point inspection, when you need to get a wind mitigation. And I would say get them often and get them early. If you need to go look for coverage, we'll talk more about that with him and find out some of his thoughts on that.
That's a great question. I already have questions. How often and all these other things. So, but let's introduce him to the show. Our guest today is Alberto with GoPro Home Inspections. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Nice. Part of his own crowd came. That's nice.
I know. Wow. Yeah. Now, before we go too far over here, Joe, are we not still, or Hans, are we not showing the audience here, even if it's a dress down Hans this week? I still think we need to present.
I think so. At some point, we're going to have to do that. We'll definitely show the audience.
All right, spin it up, man.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Let's see.
That's the wrong one. Jesus, Joe.
I'm lost.
You got to play his intro.
Oh, Hans is
Right, my intro.
Oh,
for the suit. I know, but we missed it.
Well, yeah, I know.
Oh, you guys missed. All right,
There we
here
go. There we
No,
go.
let's hit it again. Let's
start all over. All right, so this is the here we go. This dress down week for Hans Kennon. Here we go. Right here for you. And even on his dress down day, it's still very fashionable.
Look at those patterns.
Well.
His dress down is my dress up, you know? His class D is my class A.
It's Easter Sunday for Joe in this outfit.
All right, so we did get that out of the way. And one other thing, too, is that usually we do a check, and we've missed it, though, where we talk about a lot of different factors here. We talk about property-related claims, and we talk about what can lead to that, and then we talk about looking up and seeing ceiling stains and things like that. But we also talk about the humidity in your home and the inside environment. And we've had.
I got that fixed. I got it fixed.
Good. Okay, because there were some issues there, but we had an AC guy on here with what was it? 4 Seasons. Brian
yes,
with
4
Four
seasons.
That's right. And we were talking about how the indoor air quality, the relative humidity, more specifically, has a lot to do with, especially here in Florida, where our average relative humidity is 85 and up all year around. So what that translates to is over 60% in indoor environments could create mold. It can create a moldy environment. It could create an environment to where you're like, what's that weird smell in the back of my closet? It doesn't have any airflow.
I got problems, it looks like. No, it works, but it looks like my humidity is low.
Well, it was raining today pretty bad. So, and it's a super humid day. But so Hans then got his all of his thermostats updated.
I did.
To a Nest situation, so you can be able to see what the temperature and relative humidity is, and that's what's important. The temperature is important, but what's really important is the relative humidity. You don't want it to be over 60%. So if you are checking on your thermostat. Temperature is important, but I'm telling you, humidity is equally, if not more important, to the health of your inside environment.
Well, primarily, I mean, we all kind of talk about HVAC or air conditioning really extracts moisture. That's what makes it seem cool. So if it's not extracting enough moisture, humidity gets elevated. And I'm looking now at my upstairs. It's been a little weird though, because all the kids were home, and then the kids aren't home, and so and it's been cold and hot. It's been the oddest of things. My wife has the heat on. We had a fire like the other night, and it's like 68 degrees. I'm like, it's almost 70 degrees. I said, I know, I'm still cold. Now tomorrow morning is supposed to be 38.
What?
Oh yeah, no, that's a lock. I'm telling you, it's supposed to be 38. So it's back again. So I keep going around turning the heater off, and then we have these. We usually use Dysons, those big Dyson like heaters, instead of you turn on your furnace, and that emergency heat costs like $12 a minute or something. So we get those Dyson, the big like loopy things that have heaters in them, and use that just to heat individual rooms because all the kids aren't home. But
a little space heater.
So it's I would think space heaters to me is something that burns down your apartment complex in Chicago. I mean that's more of that feeling. Yeah. But like that kind of sound.
It's like crispy bacon.
Exactly. But yeah, apparently upstairs though, my humidity upstairs is 64% today.
Oh,
it's a little high. Just a little high. I'm not too excited about that.
And sometimes you have to cycle your air conditioning a little bit more. I know it might be on the temperature that you like, but temporarily to reduce the humidity, you have to crank it on by have to turn it down so it does start to cycle.
But everything like I said has been kind of off to, like I said, upstairs it's set for 75. It's still 74, so it's not even cycling at all. Right. Maybe that's the issue, is because it was warmer today, and then we turned up the thermostats to stop, because the other night my wife's like, I'm cold. I'm like, how can you be cold? The air conditioner went on because it was fighting with the heater. The heater's blowing hot air, and we didn't turn the thermostat up enough. So all of a sudden, the air conditioning's blowing, trying to cool off the room from the heater. It became a fight in our bedroom. So, but yeah, and so the family room is 60%, which isn't too bad, and the master bedroom is 60. So that's okay. But my house always seems to be a little on the humid side.
Well, and again, then we did have a super humid day, and looks like drier air is coming tomorrow. Then if that's the case, if it's going to get that low temperature-wise here in Central Florida. You guys are hearing us on iHeartRadio on Saturday, so we're talking about the week prior to, and this cold front coming in. If you're checking us out on Facebook Live, we're talking here live now. Today was... Wow, it was raining when we got up this morning. I think.
Yeah. And then it was sunny, and then at 2, Mike was coming out to do my property inspection this afternoon, and at 1:30 it just started to pour. It poured for I don't know, like half hour or something. But yeah, tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. in Altamont Springs it'll be 38 degrees.
Oh, goodness gracious.
It's 70 now. I mean, that's the kind of drop we're going to have. I think that's what's throwing off the heaters and the humidity, too.
Throwing me off as well. All right. And so we're kind of breezing through this first segment here, kind of getting caught up really with not only the Hans suit today, but his normal dapper attire, but then also the catching up on the humidity. I think it's important, especially here in Florida, to talk about that, because I mean, if you don't use your air conditioning system, that's literally what it's there for. HVAC, your heating, ventilation. That's huge, to ventilate and to circulate the air. In a normal residential home, it's a minimum of 4 air exchanges per hour is what's needed to maintain proper airflow. And so the backs of a closet or areas that don't get a lot of air movement will be susceptible for those weird odors and those things, those types of things. So when we come back from our break, we'll talk with Alberto with GoPro Home Inspections, and we'll talk about how often and when you're going to need to be, I would say, ahead of the game to get inspections done. I think that's best for maintaining your property. And like what Hans was saying when we first started out this segment, is that he needs these inspections to reduce his property insurance premiums. And now that he's shopping, remember, anytime, like, you don't have to wait for your renewal to shop for new insurance. You can shop for it anytime. And whenever you find it and it's cheaper, you can stop that current insurance contract and start a new one right away. But you may need an inspection to do that. So we're going to talk with Alberto today, right here after the break with GoPro Home Inspections. We'll be right back. Contractor Talk with Richie Kidwell. All right, and we're back. Contractor Talk with Richie Kidwell, building damage experts, every Saturday on iHeartRadio, 12 p.m. to 2 p.m., live right here on Facebook and on YouTube and on every audio streaming platform you can think of. Spotify. I went on Spotify just being bored one day, just going through and say, I want to listen to a podcast. Oh, wait, let me see if my podcast is on here. Checked it out. Right, as soon as I started typing Contractor Talk, it came up. Every episode is there on Spotify, right there on your phone. Any Spotify platform you do use, iTunes or even YouTube, we're on there. We have our video and audio on our YouTube page. So subscribe, follow us there on YouTube and on Facebook. You'll be able to check out all of our updates as we grow and here with our listeners and guests. If you would like to be a guest, go to our Facebook page. If you have a topic, go ahead and put it in there or comment on one of our videos, and we'll be happy to talk about it here on the air. Today we have Alberto with GoPro Home Inspections, and we were talking on the topic that, man, he does have a pretty solid crowd today with him. That's great. And we're talking about HVAC systems with Hans here, Hans Kennon with Morgan & Morgan, and he helps a lot of folks here when they get in a dispute between their insurance company and they have mold and water damage and things, broken roof, and they're not getting paid what they should be or getting the right scope of repairs done. So they go to Hans Kennon to help them with that part of it. Now, when we were talking, just the last segment, we were talking about humidity, and during the break, Roberto, we were talking about some of the HVAC issues that folks have and some of the major components. When you're doing a 4-point inspection, that's one of the points. Is that right?
Yep. For a 4-point inspection, their 4 points are roof, electric, plumbing, and AC. Yep, and the insurance company wants to know, since the house was built, has there been any updates done to the home? And back in the days, and I want to say back in the days like 5-6 years ago, I didn't do 4 points to houses that were newer than 10 to 15 years. But then the storms came through. I think 2 or 3 storms came real fast. And then every insurance company is like, doesn't matter the age of the house, now every home needs a 4-point.
Oh, wow.
And even houses like 2021, 4 points needed. They just want to make sure that there's no shingles missing, that there's no damages to the roof, any evidence of moisture on the interior or inside of the attic space. And that's just pertaining to the roof.
Right, that would be pertaining to the roof because you said roof, electrical, plumbing.
I mean, like on AC, like what do they want to know? Like I might come by today and took a picture of the air handler inside out, took a picture of the compressor outside, and I was like, what are they going to learn from that? So
the serial number, maybe.
The serial number, exactly.
Oh, okay.
So on the compressor on the outside, we check, it won't probably make it on the 4-point, but we'll check and make sure that it's secured to the slab, that it has the refrigerant line connected to it. Then we look at the label, and the label will tell us the year and the tonnage of the system. And then on the inside, on the air handler side, on the 4-point, is the AC in good operating condition, and it's yes or no. And then do you see any damages that are being caused by the AC air handler, whether it's moisture damage, etc. And then you would put what those issues are. So
and did they have a life expectancy in there too?
They don't.
Okay.
So really, they just want to know that it's working and that it's not causing any damages or leaks.
Right. Okay.
Like we've gone into attics where the air handlers are in the attics.
Oh.
And when those drip pans are not working correctly, or the float switch is not installed, they'll have all that moisture damage on the inside of the attic space.
I have one of those. I have one air handler in a closet. I have one in an attic, and then one's outside. Craziest thing.
Well, now with that, and I've heard Hans talk about what the insurance companies are looking for now whenever you're trying to find a new policy for your home insurance. He mentioned 4-point inspection and a wind mitigation.
Yep.
Is that something you provide as well?
Sir.
Is it usually a combo package of the 4-point and the wind mitigation?
Sir. Yep. And the 4-point is more to see if you could get insured. And the wind mitigation, honestly, will give you the most credit as far as savings. I've seen the wind with the wind mitigation inspection, go down 30-40% on the premium with a good wind mitigation report. And what I mean,
what does that tell the
exactly?
carrier? Yeah, what's it say?
And what I mean by a good wind mitigation report, there's 5 sections that go from strongest to weakest, and it creates a point system. And then that point system gives you the credits, whether if it's a lot or not too much. So those sections are, what is the roof shape? So a hip roof, meaning it has a slope each way that the wind hits it, right? That gives you credit, and a flat roof as well. But a gable roof, that's kind of like an A-frame, right? Because the wind hits it straight directly and can lift it up. So you don't get credit for that type of roof shape. If your roof was changed after 2002, you get credit. So it could be as long as there's a roof permit after 2002, 2003, 2004 up, you're good to go. And then since the building code changed in 0203, every house after 0203, if they install a roof, they have to re-nail it with 8D nails. Back in the days, they could do 6D or staples.
Right.
So if your roof is re-nailed down, you get credit for that. How is your roof attached to the wall? So it could be old school is toenails. You won't get credit for that. That's just nails driven at an angle into the wall.
I'm glad you explained that because it might confuse the listeners if you said they use toenails.
Right. They're really saving costs.
Imagine them coming out like some guys using a swing line stapler, like the one from your office to like tie down your decking. I just think that's
crazy.
And then they have the metal clips and then single wraps, which is the strongest.
Is that like the hurricane strap?
Exactly what they call hurricane straps.
Okay.
So the form you're talking about where you get points, is that a standardized form or does everyone have a different one?
Like a standardized.
That's like the Citizens Wind Mit form?
Exactly. I would say even more specific than that because that's one wind mitigation form for the entire state. On the Citizens form, then State Farm has a form, and everybody kind of have their 4-point form that they kind of use, depending on who's asking for the report. But the wind mitigation definitely is standard.
So, so then would a client then contact you and say, "Hey, I need a 4-point wind mitt, and this is what my carrier wants you to use," and they send you the report?
Yep, if it's specific. Sometimes they'll just say Citizens is okay, but definitely State Farm uses their own inspection report.
Wow,
I did not know that.
Yeah.
So when someone calls, I mean, I guess when someone calls you and they go, "Hi, I told I was supposed to call you." Like, what services? Like, how do you address someone who goes, "I need something for a mortgage. I need something for my homeowner's insurance." How do you direct them as to what products they need?
Exactly. So, wind mitigation and 4-point, I would always recommend it to anybody with a home, because you can get credit if the roof was changed after 2003. The shape of the roof also could get you credit. The way that it was nailed down. The only reason I guess I wouldn't recommend a wind mitigation would be for a condo on the bottom story. But even then, they might get some credit if they have updated windows, hurricane-rated doors, if they have window shutters, things like that.
And that would come on the 4
And that will come on the wind mitigation.
Oh, the wind mitigation.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So the 4-point is more, I guess, is a more subjective, or you're kind of inspecting, going, this is what it is. Where the wind mitt apparently is like a scorecard. I mean, they're literally like you could get a score. You got like a number.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
You got an A-frame roof or whatever, or just like
honestly, the whole gable hip thing. I've never, as long as I've been doing this, which is 28 years. I still, when I look at some of the pictures, I just go, I'm not exactly sure what the difference is.
Right.
Yeah. So
the multiple, I guess, slopes,
like facets. I call them, if it's I call them looking as.
Well, I get it, because it's just like if you think of a box and then you just put one down the middle and raise it, and then you just have it. Sit on
like
that.
Okay.
I would say even if you
that's
had
your
like,
gable. Is that your?
Yeah, a gable would be a regular, just an A-frame.
Right.
Like typical
Okay.
house.
I was thinking more of like a ski chalet, and I'm like, wait a minute, I wasn't sure about that. Okay, I got you.
And and if you were to have a table right in the middle and then kind of stand them all up, that'd be a perfect hip roof.
Okay.
Yeah.
So gable is anything that's not hip or flat.
A gable is the A-frame roof that just goes straight.
I'm sorry. A hip roof is anything that's not gable or flat. Then.
And then the hip roof is when it has slope each way. It kind of hits the roof
and multiple
slopes.
Exactly, multiple slopes.
Okay.
And then you can have more than 10% of any other roof structure to that house. So a lot of times I hate it when it's like all hip, so it's a hip on the back, hip on the side, then they just have a gable right on top of the garage.
Oh, right.
And that garage, so the perimeter of the house is 220, but that one section where the garage is 26. All right, so it's over 10%, so they don't get credit for the hip. It'd be considered
So you lose all the other credit.
So you lose that credit on that one section.
On that for that slope.
For that one
Off
section.
that little decorative little.
Yeah, that little decorative
area.
side.
That's
Exactly.
crazy.
Yep. And then the last one is window protection. So if you have shutters, if your windows are double pane windows, you get credit as well.
That's awesome. That's great. All learning a lot of stuff here today. If you're looking to reduce your insurance premium, it'd be great to call Alberto with GoPro Home Inspections. Get your 4-point, get your wind mitigation, and then go shopping. We'll be right back. Contractor Talk with Richie Kidwell. Richie Kidwell, building damage experts, every Saturday on iHeartRadio, 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. live right here on Facebook and also on every streaming platform you can think about. We take this show, we post-produce it, we put it up on YouTube, the video and everything, split the audio and send it to iTunes, Spotify, our website, everywhere you can think of, and your favorite platform for audio listening. We're on it all, aren't we, Joe? I don't think we've missed a streaming site, right?
That's right. You know, the only thing that we're not on is the Pony Express.
Rob Luker.
I've been waiting to do that like all day. Like the only
the
only channel that we're not on is Pony Express. We're all over the place.
All right, I don't get it, but we'll just move on anyways.
The Pony Express, you know, the Pony Express. It's like they would drive you letters and stuff. Like if it existed today,
I dealt with the pigeon over that.
we would.
The carrier pigeon. Yeah.
Oh yeah, we could totally put it on
But then it
audio
wouldn't
tape.
you wouldn't have been able
cassette tape.
to hit the horse
Some
thing.
fluttering wings thing you must have.
I don't have that.
Could have been
sound
a
effect,
unicorn, maybe.
but I do have a good horse here. It's,
I know. Like you could tie that somewhere else. Anyway, okay. So a lot of good conversation already talking about I mean, on this show we do talk a lot about property insurance specifically. Our Florida legislation is open. Our legislators are quote unquote legislating. So I use that term loosely, and I did the air quotes because we saw what happened last year where there was no legislation going on. It was straight dictatorship from the governor, which I voted for twice.
Yeah, me too.
But he got bought and paid for by the insurance lobby, and he was just all of a sudden now he's just he got his knee pads on and said, "Listen, great, I'm gonna take your $100 million and run for president, and in the meantime, I'm gonna screw every single homeowner here in the state of Florida, and stand on them to get to where I need to be on the president side of things." And how much time has he actually spent in Florida? Because every picture I've seen online, he's in Iowa.
Well, actually, as you noted, he was in all 99 counties. It really staked his whole claim in Iowa. And I don't know if you realize the caucuses obviously
Wait, there are that many counties in Iowa?
There's 99.
There's 67 in Florida. How is that?
I don't know.
What are they split?
there
up
are
county?
a bunch of tiny little counties.
Yeah, there are a lot.
They're like lots of small little, and they're all the same. They're all like roughly the same size.
Are they? Is that state bigger than Florida?
No. It's like the size of.
Florida's bigger, but
Cornhusker.
we have some counties that are just so massive, like
Like,
Miami-Dade,
Duval.
Broward.
Like Duval's the
That's
largest
huge.
county in the United States.
Yeah, the whole world even maybe.
Yeah, and there's just like a weird spot in the middle of Florida, like Okeechobee, and then there's like but 67 counties in Florida. But then this guy, our governor, who's in Florida, which is supposed to be in Florida, goes and visits all 99 counties.
99 counties, and he still
lost.
Still got his ass kicked.
I mean, a distant 87th place.
Did you really think that? Like I don't know, man. I mean, I don't know. Trump won it by a landslide.
Oh yeah. The New York Times characterized it with DeSantis as a distant second, and only narrowly beating Nikki Haley. And they're going to New Hampshire next week, where Nikki Haley already has a very much stronger foothold, and DeSantis has spent almost no time in New Hampshire. He's going to move on to South Carolina, which is her home state. So that'll be curious to see what happens there.
Yeah, he's dead. He's done. Yeah. And luckily he's only got one more year to screw us. And then a new governor will come in. I've heard who's going to be running for governor. I don't know this to be true.
The wife thing.
I was going with that. I wasn't going to lead with that. But the mayor of Miami, that's what I heard, is going to be running for governor.
Oh, really?
I forgot his name, but he's the mayor.
There's a mayor of
I
Miami.
think it's Giovanni, I think.
Is it?
Maybe.
South Miami or Miami Beach? Is it mayor of Miami Beach?
Miami. Is it a difference between Miami and Miami Beach?
I think for mayor. I think for as far as the mayor.
Maybe price wise.
Well, it's the same guy who ran for president or something like that or whatever. Or he ran for some crap.
Check it out up there. You can see all of these 158,000 counties.
Look at that. They're almost exact squares.
Yeah.
It's like playing Scrabble.
Yeah.
It's like playing Scrabble in Iowa.
I'm going to guess on the right and left side, it's bordered by a river.
Maybe would that be the mighty Mississippi, as they call it?
I don't know. Don't put me on the spot like
Man,
that.
that looks pretty organized though.
Right? They
They
Right,
cut it
yeah.
up real nice.
They just toot, 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 in little squares.
Yeah,
We're looking at the map of Iowa to see all 99 counties and how they squished them in there. They just made little squares, little cutlets, little beep, beep, beep. That's it.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, it's wild. I noticed that today when they were showing one of the coverage maps. I'm like, what? That's funky design.
So we talk about the show is talking about property insurance claims, and we bring on folks that can be helpful to the claim, whether a roofer, help you put you back to pre-loss condition if you have a broken roof and dealing with insurance. We have attorneys, like we have Hans Kennon with Morgan & Morgan. In case you have a dispute against your insurance company, we have home inspectors on here. We have AC folks. The ServPro was on the week before to help you put back like it never happened. Right?
Like, do you make that up? You just make that up? You just think that up?
I did make that.
Wow, that's nice.
ServPro does that. It's like it never happened.
I was gonna say at Alberto though. I don't know. I think a lot of times you guys. I don't know if you guys understand the value of your work. I think you do immediately to help somebody. But I use home inspection reports and wind mitigation reports and 4 points all the time in my litigation because my client will say to me, I bought the house. I don't know. The home inspector told me it had X years left on the roof or this part of my house was fine. So I will tell you that people really do rely on the work that you guys do. It's important to them. It's important to the insurer because if I have an insurance company who denies a claim and they say, oh, that roof's a piece of junk. It was burnt. It was dead years ago. And I go, well, you insured it. You insured it based on Mr. X, the home inspector, and he said it had time. You wanted the report. We gave you the report, and you used it as part of your underwriting to secure coverage. So again, for people out there, once you get this report, know where it is, hang on to it, don't lose it, whatever it may be. But again, Alberto, I don't know if you realize, like I said, when you're done, you give it to someone and you kind of move on. That report lives on for years, helping out in litigation. And I've deposed home inspectors. I said, well, what'd you do or what do you know? And honestly, the good ones would say, I got on the roof, I did this, I did this, I did that, and can really help an insured maintain or succeed in his claim. People who do a bad job at it honestly go, well, I didn't really get up on the roof, and I just kind of took photos from the edge and all that type of thing. And those cases don't go as well. So the work you do is actually valuable and does have a lot of longevity with insured. So I just make sure. I never know if anyone ever said that to you. So I thought,
thank you. I appreciate it. And something I teach my inspectors that I train on in the field, like if you do a good job, maybe 2 people will hear from it. If you do a bad job, 20 people easily are going to hear from it. And the same thing goes with how many people see our reports. At the very least, the buyer and the realtor are going to see it. If not, then the sellers. If not, then the insurance agents. Then the lenders. Then they'll go to their family, friends. That's an AC contractor, a structural person, a roofer. So many people see our reports, and I told my guys it's a work of art. You have your signature on it. Make sure it stands in court, and and good luck. God bless.
That's right. like we say here, it's like every report should be set up like you're going to court, you're going to trial.
Yes, sir.
Every single time, so you're always prepared. And that speaks true for what I do as a building consultant, as an engineering firm, and indoor quality expert. We do that a lot, where we take just document the interior, whether it be the damages, and then also offer opinions, and those go a long way, and it helps out the claims if it gets in a lawsuit. And having a building expert is so important. It really is. The case is only as good as the expert. And that's what every litigant says on that side of things. So with that, I'd love to hear you do your whole pitch. Tell us about you and your company, how you started, and what you're doing for folks now. Your main inspections. We talked about the 4-point and wind mit, but I'm sure you do a lot of other types of inspections for real estate transactions, I'm sure.
Yes, sir. So we started out in 2014. Had gotten back from Afghanistan. I was in the Army. As military police. So before that, I was in renovations. So I kind of put those two together, construction, law enforcement, kind of made home inspector.
Yeah.
And since the beginning, I started by myself and kind of, trial and error. And through good work and good word, we've
grown it.
Transcended, right? We're going out to 10 years. I have 5 inspectors, and we handle from Tampa all the way to the Space Coast, Daytona.
The I-4 corridor, they call it. Right?
Pretty much north to Ocala, south. I tell people if it's a Friday, I'll go down to Miami if we schedule it right.
That's right.
It's a Florida license, so I could do inspections in the entire state, as long as it makes sense.
That's right. And the most, I would say, ordered inspection report, what would that be from your office?
It's definitely the pre-purchase home inspection. So I work 80% of my business is for buyers that are purchasing a home. So I'll go in.
So you work with a lot of buyers agents, a lot of real estate.
Definitely, a lot of realtors. Realtors are definitely my bread and butter, and they recommend us, and then their clients have options to choose.
All right. Well, we'll be right back with Alberto with GoPro Home Inspections. We'll be right back. Contractor Talk with Richie Kidwell. All right, and we're back. Contractor Talk with Richie Kidwell, building damage experts, every Saturday on iHeartRadio, 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. We're right here on every streaming platform you can think of, and on Facebook, on YouTube, everywhere you can stream, and video nowadays. Past couple months, we are on video. We have it now, full podcast, video, audio, and then we shoot that audio over to iHeartRadio for the weekends. So we are delayed. We're no longer a live show. Years and years with this show, we've had it was a live type of interface with the folks calling in. I really kind of missed that live call-in show. But in the same, I love having my weekends back and playing on the weekends, so that's kind of nice too. So if you do have a question, comment, or concern, go to our Facebook page, shoot us a message there. We'll be happy to bring on any question, talk about it. If you have a scenario you want us to bring up and maybe talk to Hans Kennon about, or maybe a home inspector, we would love to be able to bring that question here on the show and answer it live and go that way. And of course, if you're on Facebook Live, send us a message through there as we're live. Ask us a question. We'll be glad to put it on the show. So today we have Alberto with GoPro Home Inspections, hearing a little bit about you. Love to hear a little bit more. Tell us about your company and the most ordered inspection reports. And you talked to me about something new on here, new construction. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, so home inspection-based company here in Orlando. We've been around for 10 years. We work primarily with realtors and buyers. So whenever you go to purchase a home, once you get your contract accepted, you go into an inspection period. Typically, it's 5 to 10 days, depending on how competitive the realtor wants to be. And then you knock out that inspection, and then you can negotiate or cancel the contract before the inspection period is over and get your deposit back.
So you have to be fast.
Exactly. So we're always on a time clock. I feel like QRF, the phone call goes off. I need an inspection. And I have my guys, I send them out fast, and we send the reports quick. Time is money, definitely in real estate. But right now we're doing a lot of new construction. And I'll tell you that it's definitely needed. Every home is different. I say it's as unique as a fingerprint, depending on who built it. One house could have so-and-so contractors, and this house has a totally different group of contractors on this one.
I feel compelled to say, when you do a new home construction inspection, are you doing it during the building process or when it's done?
Both. All right. So you could start. Yep. You could start right from the pre-pour. So right before they pour down the concrete, we'll check the forms, we'll check the rebar, we'll check the depth. Everything is building standards. And one I just did last week, we found a few things with the slab itself that could definitely help out the structure moving forward. So a couple of recommendations: adding rebar here, adding rebar there. The depth on interior has to be 4 inches all the way through. Right. There are still some sections that were too shallow, and then you could have cracks in the future inside of your home and your tile and things like that. Then once the house is halfway built and all the frame is up, the roof is done, they ran all the cables, all the plumbing, all the electric. Before they put the drywall up, we'll do that inspection. We'll check the framing, we'll check insane to see how many outlets are missing where there's supposed to be outlets. And we do everything based off the plans. So whatever the builder put that should be there, should be there. Not because it's a Friday, you're supposed to have 2 outlets on that wall. They just decided to put one right in the middle, And then you have your bed, and then you have to run the lamps behind the bed. You know how annoying that is.
That is.
Right. So
I guess
that's why those things happen.
That's the Friday afternoon, Monday morning problem.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And then the final inspection is when it's all done, and we'll go around with the buyer sometimes if the builder allows it, and we'll put blue tape on just imperfections, but we're definitely checking, make sure the AC is cooling, that the roof has no leaks, that even the finishes with the tile, the baseboards, doors that open and close, the doorknobs. I mean, we go into depth as far as anything and everything that's not in like new condition gets put on the report.
Nice. Man, builders hate you, don't they?
A little bit, but
buyers love you. Builders hate you. I can imagine.
At some point, you have to hope you become. I always mention Carfax. When Carfax first started, dealers hated it because it revealed all these problems with the car, and then over time, they realized it could be a positive force for them. They're able to say, "Hey, I got a good Carfax." Right? The dealer's dying to show you Carfax these days.
Exactly.
And what you want to hope is that
when you have a good one,
is that your product.
Good one.
Yeah, and some aren't. But what you always end up hoping is that one day, like the construction people go, you know what, we need to hire Alberto at GoPro Home so we can tell people, look, not only did we build it, here's a third party who said to themselves. So my idea for you, go to whoever it would be, Pulte or someone, and go, hey, you want to avoid problems, warranty problems, and cut the amount of money you spend doing punch list after and doing warranty after. Basically we'll give you a third party inspection that you can give to the buyer. And so the buyer, man, this thing's been checked out through and through from beginning to end. And I think you could probably work out a deal where you could probably, as part of it, I'm just thinking out loud, with a warranty issue, that they would warranty the house. That's all lawyer stuff. I don't have to bother with that. But I would say that's what you want to be. You want to become the Carfax of new home construction.
Absolutely. Wouldn't that be great? I mean, it's like,
that'd be awesome.
Yeah, it's like they like when the insurance companies send out an engineering company where they don't have to do much, except do what they want, then deny a claim. But in this case, they went out ahead of time, and actually said, hey, let's be proactive, and then actually show them that it's been double inspected. But I don't think they'd ever do that. So
I mean, when I first started, I wanted to push pre-listing inspections really hard. And I thought it was the most genius thing ever. I was like, why wouldn't you inspect the home before you put it on the market?
Right. It makes sense.
But then it comes with the whole disclosing things that, sometimes people that purchase don't do the inspection, and then maybe they just might miss the whole thing. But if I do the inspection first, then I have to disclose everything that I know. If not, it's an issue. And that's where...
Right. Well, you would, but the buyer's not going to hire you, though.
Exactly.
So, because if I was a seller, I'd be like, no, I've got this report, and then I'm not disclosing nada.
Right.
I'm just like, you bring your own inspector, and you're not calling Alberto, he's mine.
Right.
And then bring out another company. I don't know.
What was it? We had a discussion the other week with someone who talked about the idea that they were doing inspections for the seller, so the seller would know what the problems were. So let's say you list the house for $500,000.
Yeah, that's what he's talking about, like a pre-listing inspection.
We were talking to someone recently about that idea. I don't know, I forget who whether it wasn't Mike though. I think it was someone else. We talked about the idea that doing that would give you could determine whether or not your price was right too, because all of a sudden you realize the buyer comes back and goes, hey, look, I got Alberto came in and he's like, roof's bad, this is bad, you got to bring your price down. Where if they knew that beforehand as the seller, they could go, look, man, I'm going to get all stuff fixed. Who knows the quality of the fix? But they can fix stuff, not have to disclose it because they fixed it. And I don't know. So we had a discussion. Maybe it was with Heidi from Serpro, maybe, somehow.
Possibly, because I
think it was.
Yeah, it's like it probably didn't
But
happen.
but a pre-sale seller's inspection would seem to make a lot of sense.
Definitely very proactive.
Because it would give you the ability to fix everything. So when you come in with the buyer, you go, hey, Mr. Buyer, I got to tell you, the place is right.
Well, it's like with the termite inspection. I had my termite license for years and years and had tons of termite inspections. And we'd come out there and we'd call it a dirty report, would be found, right? And then they would go fix everything and they would order a brand new, it's a brand new inspection. And then this time I would go back, okay, nothing found that's obvious because they took the baseboard out that had the wood rod in it, cut it out, put a new piece. Even though it looked like crap, you can tell they cut it out, just put a new piece. Yep. But because it's sound, I have to say it's sound. There's no evidence of WDO, wood destroying organism. It could be wood rot, could be termites, could be all kind of moisture, water intrusion above 17% that would allow moisture or allow mold to create, and that environment to be bad as well. So we, looked at it. Mushroom fungi was part of our inspection report too. So, and home inspectors pick up from there as well. So I've always said, like, and when you are getting your inspections, I have to say it this way: you want a separate mold inspector than a separate building inspector, because a lot of times the building inspectors are really good at knowing the building, the electrical portions of it, the roof, and all that kind of stuff, and then you throw them at them like Stachybotrys,
right, Cladosporium, and
right, and and then talking about dangerous levels and Aspergillus versus Penicillium, and it's just like really discussing, and that is it's too much.
Yeah.
It's like me trying to be a home inspector. I know so much about mold, but it's like I would mess something up. I would stick something wrong in the electrical outlet and blow all the fuses. I would do that. I'm just not that talented. So, but that would be my advice to folks: spend the money, especially when you're looking for a home. It's going to save you so much more money by getting the home inspection. So many people then would hear your pricing and maybe not even want to inspect the home, and then have problems later on that supersede what you charge to do your inspections. About roughly, what does it cost to get a 4-point inspection, wind mid, or a full inspection?
All right, so a 4-point wind mitigation, those two together are roughly about $150 to $200.
That's awesome.
And then a full inspection, wind mid, 4-point, everything together can range between $400 to $800 depending on the size of the home.
That's really good to know, and those are great prices. We're going to have to take a break, give some thanks to our sponsors. We'll be right back with Contractor Talk with Richie Kidwell. All right, and we're back. Contractor Talk with Richie Kidwell, building damage experts, every Saturday on iHeartRadio, 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. Live right here on Facebook, YouTube, our website, and every streaming platform you can think of on the audio side of things. Recently doing the video thing here on Facebook Live. That's what's up every Tuesday night around 6 o'clock. You'll see us here live on Facebook. Check us out every week, Tuesday night here. And then, like I said, our audio goes out on the weekends and every platform streaming you can think of, or streaming platform you think of. So I want to thank you, our guest today, Alberto with GoPro Home Inspections. I don't think we've given out a way to reach him. He's got a website, GoProInspect.com. At GoPro Home Inspections, you want to make sure you're ahead of the game. If you're here in Central Florida, really, I've heard the I-4 corridor from Tampa all the way up to Daytona, Central Florida included. If you're buying a home, selling your home, getting a home built, you want to give Alberto a call. Go to his website, check out what the services he provides, because like we've talked about, the peace of mind, I'm telling you, a lot of times is more valuable, not only for your headspace, but dollars and cents down the line too. You don't know what you don't know, and the way to know is to call Alberto. There you go.
Oh man,
That's awesome.
all of a sudden I'm doing a show with Paul McCartney and John Lennon over there, writing lyrics.
Yeah, I mean, that's I've learned a lot just on the last thing you talked about. Not only on the phase inspections when you're getting your home built, but the pricing for the peace of mind for really shopping for insurance. Talked about like around $150. You're going to be able to get your wind mid and your 4-point inspection, but you're going to be able to save thousands a year in your insurance premiums.
Oh, I mean, I see deck sheets these days where the premium, we looked at one recently, I looked at one where the premium was like $20,000, but when they credited it all down, it went down to like $4,000. I mean, literally, it was that. I was like, oh, it's about $4,000. And I went, wait a minute, let me look at this. And I'm like, it was 20 G's. It was 20,000 for our homeowner's policy. It was some case I was looking at. And again, with all the credits, right, and it's windows and hurricane straps and all these things, all of a sudden you don't really think about it. When we all buy insurance, we all look at the bottom line.
Right.
And we've talked about why that's dangerous too, and we'll probably talk about that again. But the idea is what's the final number, and all the wind mid credits was really, the money was in the wind mid credits, man. As far as you want to see stuff, watch the prices drop.
Yep.
What
Buy
else?
A house with hip roof. There you go.
Yeah.
For the savings.
Be good. And we were talking about before is farmers who insured me is leaving Florida.
Gotta love that.
I love that. I really do. And so my insurance doesn't come up until May, but we're doing this now. We did a wind mid and a 4-point today because I want to give myself some time. So think about also, if you're going to go shop for insurance, you don't want to be calling Alberto like a day before your policy expires you want to and so you want to give yourself some time.
I mean, maybe. I mean, you do things pretty fast, so I mean, maybe. I don't know.
But Alberto may get the report done, but the insurance agent can have trouble getting that thing out to a whole bunch of insurers and everything to see if they can insure you. So, and also you think about if you were to have like new air conditioning put in or new panel boxes or what else? New water heaters, new roof. I mean, you may, I'm not saying you have to, but you may want to consider keeping that 4-point inspection more updated. So when you do need it or someone does call, you have it. Like for me, I'm trying to shop insurance, but I had to stop. I went, oh yeah, you're right. I need to get a new wind because I have a new roof. I have a new water heater, all these things since the last time we did it. So I'm putting off getting new coverage because I need to drop farmers if I can, because they're not going to help me anymore. So again, keep in mind when it comes time to shop for insurance, think about the wind mid and the 4-point, ideally weeks or months before your insurance is going to change, so you have the benefit of getting the greatest credit.
How long are those good for? Do you have any idea, Alberto?
4 years.
Oh wow. Okay, 4-point and wind mid is good.
Unless
major storm comes.
No, unless you change stuff.
Change something or a major storm, or if you're selling the house or something. Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, because we've had weird inclement storms, in the past several years come through here in different pockets of Florida. So, what we show that, or what we have seen is that when in excess of 50 miles per hour and up, creates a weird vortex of wind uplift that could damage window seals, that could damage shingles by lifting them up. And Alberto, you're talking about the new codes. If your roof was built after 2002, I think in 2003, the codes made it to where you have to have either more of a nail pattern, longer nails, more fastening, basically, so you have less damage done to your roof with these wind calculations that we've seen. Like I said, 50, 60 mile per hour winds come through Central Florida, and you have damage to homes.
Oh, one thing real quick. I'm sorry. If you're going to, let's say you put a new roof on, you may not think to let your insurer know, right? I mean, you wouldn't necessarily, you wouldn't immediately go, oh, the roof's done, honey. Let's call the insurance company. You may not tell them at all. So they still may be rating your home based on an older roof. And if they write to you and say, hey, we're going to drop you unless you get a new roof, you're already a little bit behind the 8 ball to then go, no, wait, stop. We did put a new roof on. So again, that'd be a time where you want to, and so if you're going to do some major work, even new water heater, well, hey, a busted water heater can destroy an entire house when the thing starts leaking. So again, if you do get a new water heater, new air conditioning, new electrical, new roof, you want to get an updated wind or 4-point and wind mitigation report from Alberto. And you want to send it to your agent, because again, he may not think to ask you either when it comes time for renewal. They just sit back and watch the thing renew. So every time you do something of substance, that may give you a credit either immediately or a credit toward the next policy. So don't let that sit and think everyone knows you've gotten this thing done, because no one's going to know unless you tell them.
That's right. And that's good information. 4 years. That's good. And what I would say to get indoor quality testing done in your home, your property, your business would be about every 3 to 4 years, unless a significant change has been done, like to the roof or landscaping around the outside. That has a lot to do with indoor quality. Major changes, HVAC system replaced, those types of things. And we did talk about HVAC when we started the show, about how important it is and about how relative humidity would get too crazy here in Florida and cause your items to have mold on them, to have that funky odor, these weird smells. Here in Florida, humidity is over 85% majority of the time here in Florida. So we get that translated to inside, trying to control your relative humidity. And you mentioned, Alberto, finding out that, or hearing these AC salesmen come into your home and saying, hey, listen, like, we can give you a better machine. It's bigger tonnage. Instead of a 3-ton, we can give you a 4-ton machine, and try to kind of upsell the bigger machine, and that it'll cool your house faster. But then you really scratch your head and you think about it. It's like, well, do I want to cool my house faster and have less air exchanges than I would to be, call it, under tonnage? I don't even know how you consider that, or just be of like a 2 or a 3-ton that will maybe run a little bit longer, give you more cycles, But what do you think about that when somebody is asking you about that? What is your opinion?
Of course. So for, like a good example would be like a home that's 1,600 square feet, right? So 1,600 square feet, you could kind of go, for every ton, we say it's about 600 square feet. So if you do a 3-ton, that's 1,800. So you would oversize by 200 square feet. Or you could go with a 2.5 and it'd be 1,500. So it's better to go with the 2.5 and be undersized 100 square feet rather than be oversized 200 square feet, because the AC will run a little longer and it'll get the humidity out.
Right.
Compared to an AC that cuts off quicker and then the humidity doesn't go anywhere.
That's right. And the purpose of your HVAC system is heating, ventilation, and air conditioning. So that's what it does, is it controls the environment with those two factors, right? I mean, it uses the air exchanges to then take the humidity out of the air and pushes new air into the space, which then reduces the humidity and also cools it. And so you feel the thickness when you walk out. You're here in Florida and it starts to rain or it's super humidity or super humid. You walk outside, you feel it, you know it, it's there. And the opposite is true as well. You go to the Midwest and it's like, man, there's no humidity. My lips are cracking. Everything's dry. Yep. Totally different environments. And we need to understand we're here in Florida. So we do need to keep your doors and windows closed and cycle your air conditioning system. If your humidity is higher than 60% on the outside, that's a way to reduce it on the inside. If it's 20% humidity outside, sure, open your doors and windows, So you take that in consideration here. All kinds of tips learned on Contractor Talk with Richie Kidwell. Isn't that fun stuff? All right, we're going to take a break, give some thanks to our sponsors here on Contractor Talk with Richie Kidwell. We'll be back with our guest, Alberto with GoPro Home Inspections. We'll be right back. All right, and we're back. Contractor Talk with Richie Kidwell, building damage experts, every Saturday on iHeartRadio, 12 p.m. to 2 p.m., and live right here on Facebook, on YouTube, and also on every audio streaming platform you can think of, Spotify, iTunes, everywhere you can go. Also, visit our website, contractortalkpodcast.com, for every streaming episode that we've had on audio, and then all of our new video stuff is there and on YouTube. We'd love to have you then subscribe to our YouTube channel and just see every video that we have posting. We have cool little outtake videos on our YouTube page as well. So go over there and check us out. And again, every week we have a different guest here on the show to bring to you guys, the listeners. We talk about insurance-related claims as it relates to your property. Could be your business, your home. We talk about the interesting issues that we have working in this fun industry, and I use that lightly. It's more of the fun and dysfunction in this industry. As we've seen, the laws have changed. We have a bought-out governor that enforced 4 law changes with 3 special sessions and a regular session, just changed the landscape of our insurance market, took out all prevailing party attorney's fees, left the homeowners in all markets of insurance sitting there holding the bag. So if you're getting denied on any part of it, like an insurance dispute, not just property, auto, medical, life insurance, if you're in a dispute with your insurance company, they say, no, I'm not paying you, but they owe you the money, you have to come out of your own pocket to get your experts and get your lawyers all set up so you can just get what's rightfully yours to begin with, which is amazing.
No, it's quite a change. We always talk about for the last 100 years or so, the Florida Supreme Court, prior to the statute, even found that if you brought a claim against your own insurer that they failed to pay, if you had to obtain counsel and go and file a lawsuit or go to trial, that the insurer would have to pay the lawyer above and beyond the amount of the policy itself, which we talk about is only fair, that you shouldn't have to pay me in order to get the benefit you're already entitled to. But it really is where we are. All the bills passed by the governor over the last couple of years and put in place, written by the governor's office, given by the governor to the leadership of the House and the Senate, all went through essentially unopposed and unread. The bills would come down on a Friday evening for a Monday committee, a Tuesday vote, and all of a sudden off they went through. None of those bills, not a one, for all that was done to relieve the insurance industry of responsibility to you, required any change, any automatic or required reduction in premium under your policy. Not a word about that in all those bills.
Yeah, nowhere did they put the 2 words together, policy or premium reduction. That's all we were looking for, is like, if X is hit, if accomplished, then we will discount by Y. But nowhere did they say the two words together, premium reduction. And it was very dissatisfying to know that we had 4 major law changes all around insurance and not one thing mentions reducing premiums. But yet that's why we were there and the quote unquote fake crisis existed, is because they had a fix for a problem that didn't exist until they created it. So that's what they do when they say, hey, this is what we want to do. Okay, well, let's go create the problem so then we can come in like Superman and say, hey, we have a solution to this. You know, it's like how it's the same way of how Pfizer can come out with, a vaccine in 6 months, which usually takes 30 years, which is also weird.
Well, I mean, but the solution we saw over the years, Richie, you and I were both in this together, was that the solution kept changing, or the disease kept changing. I'm not sure what they would say, but for a while it was the public adjusters. They were giving people good
boogeyman, right?
They were giving people good advice that helped the insurer have to pay more. Well, that's bad. Then it became contractors who would assist insureds in providing quality and sophisticated information to the insurers that required the insurers to pay more. They didn't like that. And then this last year, they came back to lawyers and said, well, the lawyers are providing too much good advice to these insureds, and insureds are turning to them too often to understand why they're not getting paid correctly. So it must be the lawyer's problem. So like we talk about, for all their complaints about what's wrong with the system, every year was something different, and every year they asked the governor for relief from it.
Right. And that's just the insurance companies coming up with ungodly amounts of money, what it seems like. They just have a bucket that just never empties. But the crisis was about how they're broke and poor.
Yeah.
But they came up with $100 million to give to the governor with another promise of $250 million to run for president. So I don't know how anybody broke will say, hey, I'll give you $100 million and a promise for $250. That's just not what broke people do. I just don't understand that. And we saw an article last week that you brought, Hans, that showed that the CEO that started Bruce Lucas
from Heritage,
who started Heritage, within 8 years he made $80 million working with Heritage, and then now he's Slide Insurance, making ungodly amounts of money over there as well too, in the midst of a quote unquote insurance crisis.
Well, in the midst of essentially threatening to go out of business because they couldn't afford to pay their claims when they pay the guy $80 million over 8 years. And just so we're clear, I'm not taking anything away from him or his ability to make a deal or run a company. But when you go to this, when you're essentially it's almost a utility in their own way, but they're utility for profit. So they say to the insurance commissioner, oh, we're going to go out of business. We can't afford to pay all these claims. No one seems to spend any time going, well, what are your expenses? Maybe your expenses are too high. Oh, look, you're paying your CEO $500,000 a week. Maybe that's a problem. Maybe that's more money than you should be spending on that role. I mean, and for all the big money he made, I don't know that these numbers, it was a public company, but it's not like everyone beneath him was making nothing. I'm sure all the VPs of claims and the VP legal counsel, those guys weren't working for nothing either.
No, they're all making six figures and middle to high six figures. I mean, yeah, I mean, many of the executives over there were also coming out with these huge numbers, and they were coming out after one would go insolvent, like what we saw that now they have to do this autopsy if an insurance company goes out. And we saw the articles with Sunshine and Insurance or whatever it went out.
Yeah.
And they were overpaying their executives, overpaying companies that they owned so they can show their main company was at a loss so they can continue to raise rates.
Right.
And then the company goes insolvent, gives everything to FIGA, and then they all take $200,000, $300,000 exit bonuses on the way out, and then bitching because they didn't get enough bonus on the way out.
Right.
Amazing.
And that report they did took years to produce or years to be disclosed. I forget which one it was. And the Senate, the folks in the Senate who were supposed to get that report didn't even know they were supposed to get it and didn't even know it didn't exist.
It's crazy how the communication rolls up to these legislators, but they didn't have a chance because the governor was in charge and in control.
Yeah.
But that goes to our rising premiums. That's what we're talking about now. And we have Alberto with GoPro Home Inspections to help us bring that rate down. And by doing that, and what Hans is doing right now, he doesn't have his property insurance renewal isn't until like May. But he's like, let me go shop it now and get the home inspection, the home inspector out, and get the 4-point and the wind mitigation done for roughly around $150. You can get this report done, submit it to other insurance companies, and see what type of savings. And sometimes that $150 is going to net you thousands of dollars a year in savings.
Most definitely.
That's great, man. And how, Alberto, how can they get a hold of you outside of your website? If they want to call you and they're in the Central Florida area, how can they get a hold of you?
Yep, you can call or text 407-300-5330. We're on WhatsApp as well. You can message us through Instagram, through Facebook. Pretty much you call, we'll answer.
Awesome. One more time, and that's Alberto with GoPro Home Inspections. Go for it.
Yes, it's 407-300-5330 on Instagram, Facebook, GoPro Home Inspections, or online, www.goproinspect.com.
Perfect. Yeah, if you're in Central Florida and you want to get it done and you get it done fast, these guys are used to that, having a realtor call them up and say, hey, listen, I got this buyer on this, and we are in a 10-day inspection period. Okay, how much longer you got? We're on day 9. You know, it's just like, okay, so you need it right now. Yes, I need it right now. So this is what these guys are used to. Give them a call, go to their website, check them out.
But we're not recommending that.
Yeah.
The fact they're familiar with day 9 out of day 10 doesn't mean they want to get that phone call on day 9.
That's right.
Yeah. Well, we'll take care of it.
Well, that's great. I mean, and I did learn a lot already, and we still have some more segments left. But one thing you want to take away from is that if you do go out to the market to shop your property insurance premium, then the best way to go about it is to start out and be ahead of the game. Get the 4-point inspection done, get the wind mitigation inspection done, and then go to an agent that shops multiple insurance companies, 30, 40, 50 insurance companies, or go shop your agents as well too, and give them your report. Say, here you go, shop me, get me the best insurance. Now, and Alberto said it's good for about 4 years unless you've changed your roof or had any major changes. So if you have a report done in the past year or so, you might be okay. But if it's been longer than that, I would recommend a new one.
Yep. And I would definitely recommend that the client contact us, right? Because we do these same inspections for insurance companies, all right? But the person that pays us, we kind of have their best interest in mind, all right?
Absolutely.
Just kind of keep that as well.
That's right. So if you're looking for that, call Alberto directly. All right, we'll take a break here at Contractor Talk with Richie Kidwell. We'll be right back. All right, and we're back. Contractor Talk with Richie Kidwell, building damage experts, every Saturday on iHeartRadio, 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. Live right here for you on Facebook and on our YouTube page. Go check out our video podcast there on YouTube and right here on Facebook. And, of course, our audio goes on iHeartRadio. You can go directly to their website, wflaorlando.iheart.com, or if you're driving through Central Florida area on that 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. time, 94.1 FM or 93.1 FM or 540 on the AM dial. So many different ways to listen to us, whether you're driving through or on streaming. So there we go. We have our guest today, Alberto with GoPro Home Inspections, and we're bringing a lot of information to you, help you save some money on your premium for your home insurance and or your business, because we didn't even touch on you doing these business building evaluations. That's something that you do as well?
Yes, we also do commercial inspections as well. Yes, sir.
Awesome. And how is that different from residential home inspections?
It's a little more in depth. We look more at handicap accessibility. We go into fire safety. You know, we look at everything as a client coming into your business. And if it's a restaurant, we'll go in the back in the kitchen. If it's a gas station, you know, in the back of the freezers. If it's depending on what it is, we've done banks, hotels, motels, a lot of warehouses. So.
Yeah.
It really is just spectrum. It could be mechanic shops. We've done a few mechanic shops too. So.
And what would that be the same purpose? They're calling you out for like either a 4-point or maybe they're purchasing the building themselves?
Purchasing the whole building, exactly.
I got you. Wow.
And we'll check the doors, everything, make sure everything works right.
And they have the same type of inspection periods then and all that. So then you're really behind there if you only have 5 or 10 days on a big commercial building to get all that stuff knocked out.
Yes, sir. And inspection periods for commercial are typically a little longer, 20, 30 days.
Okay, that's good.
How do you, it seems odd to say, but how do you know what to check? I mean, in theory, everything can be bad, or in theory, everything can be fine.
Exactly.
I mean, how do you, I'm just thinking like you say, well, do I need to look at all those joists, or can I look at a group of them, or do I just look for stain? I'm just kind of thinking the process.
Yeah. So my process, coming from the military, we always look at things far away and then zoom in, right? So, for example, like IED training, we don't just go into a building running in. First we take 200 yards back and then go closing in that way. So grading elevations first, make sure that the house isn't built inside of a hole, which insanely, new houses, some of them are.
A lot of them are,
right?
yeah.
Really?
So foundation, all right? So slab to grade, there's so many, I'll say, out of 10 houses, maybe 2 of them have the slab to grade that is correct, where you have 4,
Two?
2, where you have 4 inches of slab over the grass outside. So that way, when it rains, water goes up. Yeah. That crack between the slab and the wall, you don't get any water seeping in. And you see that a lot coming from our industry. And that's due to slab to grade issues. Then from there, what is the house built out of? Is it wood? Is it block? And that's a preference, depending on how much maintenance you want to do to a home, or, the whole 3 little pigs thing, if you want to live in a block home or a wood frame house. Right. Then we go into your roof. Is it architectural shingles? Is it metal? Is it tile? Then we go into your electric outside, your AC, your plumbing, main water shutoff, your water pressure. We check your meter, make sure it's not running while nobody's inside the house. It's a very easy way to see if there's a leak in your house. Check your meter real fast. If no one's in there and your toilets aren't running or anything, that should be really still. All right. Then we'll go into the garage, go into what's in the garage, which is usually your air handler, your water heater, check the slab, the garage door, check your sensors. Then we go into your attic space. We'll go into the structure, insulation, your air ducts. We'll look and see if there's any evidence of pests, raccoons, squirrels, rats. From there, we go into the interior, and there's anything and everything that is in not like new condition. So as I'm walking around, if I hear like a little hollow spot, hollow spot, check it out. Then we'll go into the rooms, open the doors, close the doors, open windows, close windows, outlets, ceiling fans, check the AC. If it's a hot day, while I'm outside, I'll turn the AC down. So by the time I come in, I should get like a breath of cool air. If I don't, then I'm like, all right, that's already another problem. We got another problem. Yeah. All right, then we'll go into the sinks, plumbing, make sure we run all the water in the sinks and the showers, make sure it doesn't back up. Polybutylene, we didn't talk about that. And that's a big thing for 4 points. Oh, wow. So there's the red flags. So polybutylene is a gray flexible piping from 85 to 96 that came out. And if you have that kind of piping, I have put a little check mark, polybutylene. And now that just opened the whole world of problems for you.
Oh, man.
All right.
Oh, yeah.
And that's because they're susceptible for breakage.
Exactly. They say it's not if it leaks, but when.
And they don't necessarily, when you think of the term break, you think of something happens to it and it breaks. It just breaks.
Yeah, or just one day to another.
It doesn't. People think, if I have a great pipe and I'm working on it, it might be more susceptible to breaking. No, it'll like spontaneously combust essentially.
Exactly. It's like the rings will loosen up and then you'll have a pinhole leak. And sometimes the leaks are even small that it'll take a month for it to actually show through. And then once you go into your attic, the mess is huge.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And then in the electrical, we look for aluminum wiring, and that's for houses in the 60s to 70s.
Yeah. I bought a house in Pensacola that had that original cloth like over the wires. Half of it was renovated and half of it wasn't. So, exactly. But the part that wasn't still had that old
cloth wires. Yeah. And if the inspector found it, hopefully he could have negotiated something, or at least he knew about it before getting into it. Yeah. There's the electrical part. We definitely go into the panels, the outlets, check your cables, the wiring. And then final is your appliances. Make sure your refrigerator makes water and ice, your stove, your range, microwave, your hood, disposal, laundry. Yep. So we pretty much live in the house for those 2 to 3 hours. And it's an opinion of the inspector, and that's why it's so important to choose the best inspector and someone that's recommended. I could have an inspection done, and here's my report. There's 100 pictures. There's a summary. It's in PDF. You can forward it to whoever needs it off your cell phone. And then you have another inspection guy come and give you a piece of paper, and it's a handwritten, and it's signed at the bottom. And both are just as good in a sense, and they probably cost the same. But who would you rather hire to do your inspection?
I think it's like that line. I'm not saying I'm better than you. I'm just saying I'm different in a way that's better.
I like that.
I think that's what he's trying to say here is, they both might be good, but mine's different in a way that's better.
I mean, well, it's 2023. Now Dang it. It's not even 2020. It's 2024. And man, that's the most difficult part of like transition to the next year, of just realizing it's 2024. But like with communication, like you said, I mean, it's just right here at our fingertips. And, you know, it's so much easier to be able to get that on your phone and be able to forward it to where it's needed, especially in today. Everything is such a fast moving world that when you're in these inspection periods, everybody needs to report fast. We need to read it, understand it, send it to everywhere else that needs it so you can move forward. And, you know, we see that in every line of work. I see it in what we do as well. We're on a time pressure cooker to turn in our expert reports, and Hans is on a pressure cooker to review it, get it to the other side, and get into evidence. So we see that how well needed that is, and it starts with the expert, the inspector, for sure. We thank you for being on the show. Again, how do we get a hold of you? So Alberto with GoPro Home Inspections, best way to get a hold of you.
You can call me, call or text 407-300-5330. You can schedule online 24/7, GoProInspect.com, or you can message us on Facebook or Instagram at GoPro Home Inspections.
Awesome. Very good. And like I said, if you're looking to reduce your premiums for home insurance or your building insurance for your commercial property, start out getting it set up with your inspector to get the 4-point and the wind mitigation inspector. I think that's what I want to take from this show today. Is that and of course, if you are in an inspection period or looking to buy a home, this is who you're going to need to call to ensure that you're making a proper investment. And we touched on the pre-listing inspection, which I think that would be a no-brainer.
Yeah.
You know, but then you also think about a property owner who's like, I'm just going to sell it anyways, whatever. I'm not going to spend the money. But there are those folks out there that want premium dollar for their property, and the only way to do it is get the pre-listing inspection.
Be proactive.
Yeah, be proactive about it. Put a little bit.
Well, I mean, really,
money into
the nice thing and the honest thing to do. Obviously, the disclosure statement is there to let people know if there's a problem you know about. And I get calls all the time from people who say, "Oh, the guy lied to me on the disclosure. We found all these problems and all this stuff." And it's unfortunate because that's expensive litigation to undertake to try to get the guy to come clean on the fact that he or she was not honest on the disclosure and who knew and everything else. But I mean, just from a good moral perspective, hate to throw that out there, but you get an inspection like the one that Alberto does. Get the place in the right shape so you're not lying on the disclosure, which is a crime, I like to add. And do it the right way.
That's right. The way to do it, well, knowledge is power, and you will be in a much better position knowing ahead of time. So, all right, we're going to take a break here in Contractor Talk with Richie Kidwell. We'll be right back. All right. We're back. Contractor Talk with Richie Kidwell, building damage experts, every Saturday on iHeartRadio, 12 p.m. to 2 p.m., and live on Facebook, on YouTube, and on every streaming platform you can think of. Thanks for joining us here. It's our last segment and our 2-hour show every week here. We have a new show, new guest. Today we have Alberto with GoPro Home Inspections. And throughout this last break, it's interesting to learn about the different inspection methods that we have. We have the human eye where we can go around and check it out. The olfactory way of us checking things out, which is our nose, of smelling, see, smell, and we have a different way that I thought was super, super interesting. Years ago, we've had several folks that come in and do different ways of inspecting. Back in my day when I was a pest control company, we went to did several of the hotels, the Lowe's hotels, and some of those, and we were doing visual inspections. And I ended up bringing out the thermal imaging inspections with them, doing bed bug detection. So I had all their bed bug work for those major hotels there. Super clean. I can report that the Lowe's Universal hotels were very, very clean the list of times that we were doing the services. And they did proactive approaches where every quarter we would inspect. And then if they were found that there were any instances of bed bugs, we would do treatment on heat remediation treatment. So there was no chemicals that were done in the room. So everything was done by temperature. Now the bed bugs also, after they bite you basically, and they're filled with your blood, they carry out a different heat signature. So they're actually warmer than the rest of the environment. So you can find bed bugs with infrared cameras. Just FYI, I proved that back in the early 2000s, and that's how I got their case or how I got their business. I put on a big bed bug symposium, and I invited a lot of folks out, and some of them were from Lowe's Universal Hotels. So they thought this was a great way of doing it. No chemicals. We can check with these non-invasive ways. And then eventually we went into dogs coming in and doing these inspections. A lot more efficient. And I don't know who let the dogs out, but they were very, very efficient and very smart in that way. But you can teach them to do all kinds of different inspections, from bombs to drugs and different things like that. What has your experience been with Alberto?
Well, I was in the military, so I was in the Army as a military police, and in 2013, 2014, I was in Afghanistan, and we were working with American Canine and with drug and bomb dog detection dogs. And the gentleman that, while we were doing the mission, right, we went onto a dump truck, an explosive dump truck, and the dog sat on it. And
when the dog sits, what does that mean?
It means that there's something there. All right, so the dog sat pretty much with the truck approaching us, and the dog had to try to move the dog, and it was just stiff. So we knew, we called the EOD. EOD went out there, took care of the problem, and all good. But
wow, what was the problem? I gotta know.
The problem was
full of bombs?
Yes, explosive.
Holy cow!
An explosive, yeah. So.
Oh wow.
Yes, sir. So God is good. We're here because God wanted us to be here. For sure. So, that same gentleman, I get my home inspection license, and I do a mold remediation assessing course, and the instructor's saying, "No, the smell." I'm like, well, nothing smells better than a dog. So I contact him, and I was like, hey, man, by chance, do you think you could teach a dog to look for mold? And he's like, for sure. And I have the guy that taught me how to do this, and he just opened up a school in Deltona. And I was like, get out of here. Talk about, meant to be, right?
Right.
So I reach out to him, and I get my dog handling certification with the, I can't remember the county sheriffs out there in Volusia. And I got my handling license, bought a dog, taught her to look for mold, and did the whole mold assessing thing for a bit.
That's awesome. Can you give me an example of when you went out to a home and maybe be able to find something that maybe we wouldn't have found with the naked eye, or even with our inspection tools too?
And definitely check out the Instagram. You'll see a few videos of them doing their change of behavior, change of action.
That's awesome.
And whenever you could either do it with leash or without a leash, depending if there's people there. If there's nobody there, I'll run her without a leash, and I'll just point at certain areas, and she'll know exactly what to do. And once she hits on something, she'll sit down and stay still. Once I know she stays still, I pay her, give her toy.
Nice.
And she'll sit on wet carpet, drywall, cabinetry, and that's about it. Drywall, cabinetry, and carpet.
And
so
different
if there's
type
mold
of
there,
substrates that kind of will kind of absorb moisture, water, and then create some sort of mold. Those are substrates that would, like backing of drywall, has cellulosic material that will actually start. It's like a starchy material that will allow. It's like a food source for mold. Right? So you have to. Here's
a question. We were talking on the break a little bit. Vinyl interlock flooring, which most of us have. I have these days in my house. You mentioned that the dog was walking over to an area and then sitting down. Would a moisture meter pick up moisture beneath a premium vinyl interlocked floor, or is that too thick a material to see through?
I would say so, and not only that, but you might damage it too if you're trying to stab through it. So having a dog would definitely be beneficial, so you don't damage property at the same time.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So when you guys go around and use the thermometer, and I always read about the percentages. Now, typically that's in a porous or semi-porous material like drywall or wood or anything like that.
Yeah, that'll absorb moisture. Think of it like a sponge, right? I mean, whenever you put your moisture meter on something, they have evasive and non-evasive moisture meters. But you mentioned infrared camera. I mean, the infrared is just only going to tell temperature differential. It's not going to tell you actual moisture in there. That's when you bring out your moisture meter. But then that'll tell what the water activity level is of that substrate, which they're all going to be different in how they absorb moisture. So, we know drywall once it gets over 18%, you're going to grow mold. Wood, it's a different percentage. It's actually a little bit lower, and to where so would the moisture reading would be for tile or concrete or things like that. We actually see where there's too much for that specific substrate. So that sponge theory of like once you get so much moisture in here and you get to 90%, 100%, after 100% it just overflows, right? So, but it'll tell you the percentage from 0 to 100, and based off that number and the substrate, as you know, if it's proper, so to speak. Most drywall, you want it to be under that 18%. When we did the Hard Rock casino hotel, when it had all the moisture leaking from the roof, they were quickly putting drywall back to try to repair it, but they didn't wait until the drywall mud was dry, and they put wallpaper right over 22% drywall. And then they were wondering why they got an odor and why there was mold growing behind the wallpaper.
Wow.
And so, so that does matter for them to dry. And so we came in and said, if you want to do this fast, to start putting dehues in the rooms, and you'll bring the humidity down. And with our help, they were able to kind of keep up the pace of their drywall. But, I kept showing them, like, it's 22%, it's 25%. Like, get it down below 18%, and then put your wallpaper up and make sure it's perforated and not just straight up wallpaper that doesn't breathe. So that was that problem that they had. But knowing that and knowing the percentages of it, it takes an expert to know that. It takes an expert to really check your home for moisture, for stains that maybe are stain that doesn't have consistent moisture. Maybe it was fixed, but you still have the stain. You want to know about that. Yep. But also you want to know about what is continually coming every time that rain hits. Maybe it's a miss in your flashing or whichever. It's something you can catch sooner than later, and by bringing in experts, the way you're going to do it. So maybe not wait until you sell your home, but how often do you recommend somebody to just do an inspection of their home just to know what's going on?
I'd say 5 years, definitely. If you haven't done an inspection in the last 5 years, there could be something very different the last time you inspected it.
And would you recommend just a 4-point inspection, just somebody not doing for anything, really just to find out what's going on, or what would you recommend?
Honestly, I'm about to create a service and call it a health and welfare check, like inspection, kind of like what military, your hiring command will do to you. They'll go and check out how you're living. Kind of the same thing.
Yeah.
And that'd be a cool service, even if for somebody that's out of town, or if you're if you're a property owner and you have the house rented, have that inspection done on your home, see how the AC
I heard that all the time. I get calls, people that go, "Oh, people destroyed my house." I'm like, when's the last time we were in it? 5 years ago. I'm like, you haven't even been in it? No, the check came, right? The mailbox money, check came in the mail, so I thought everything was fine.
Exactly.
And they go over and find out it's a grow house.
Exactly.
Twice that's happened. I've had 2 cases like that.
I wouldn't be mad. Anyways, all right, that's another story. It's your boss that started all this, the pod daddy anyways. So you can thank John Morgan for that. And of course, Hans Kennon with Morgan on our show every week. Thank you for being here.
Of course.
And our guest today, Alberto with GoPro Home Inspections. Go to GoProInspect.com for more info and to schedule your inspection today. Thank you guys for joining us on the show. We'll talk to you guys later. See you.